If you've tried to transition from sales calls to start selling in the DMs with an offer doc, but your conversion's completely tanked, I'm going to solve that problem for you in this video. It's not because you suck at selling, it's not because your prices are too high, and it's probably not even a problem with the offer doc itself. The issue is that you're trying to sell in the DMs with a business model that was designed for sales calls. So here's what I mean. Most coaches who switch from sales calls to a DM sales system kind of just copy and paste the same process that they were using before. They just replace the sales call itself, like sending a calendar link in the DMs with a link to an offer doc instead. That's it, right? But on the front end, they still have the same content, the same lead nurturing, and the same sales logic that they're approaching the process with. And then they freak out when their conversion rates drop from maybe 50% on sales calls to like 10% in the DMs. It's because your entire business was built around the sales call doing all the heavy lifting for you. So I call that model or that process a sales-focused business. It is how most coaching businesses run, and is how I used to run my business as well many years ago. And when you rely on sales calls that much, you can get away with bad or weak marketing and shitty content. And that only works so well because of the sales call process itself, and I guess let's be honest here, mostly because of the persuasion and the objection handling that is the sole reason that you're able to convert those leads into clients before. With a sales-focused business, your marketing and your content doesn't really need to do any selling for you. It doesn't really matter all that much. The only purpose of creating content and marketing, anything that you put out into the world, is literally just to push people towards booking a sales call. That's it. And that process does work. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but it only works for you if you love doing sales calls and being glued to your calendar. But if you've already tried to transition from sales calls to a sell by chat system, I know that that is not the lifestyle or the business that you want. So let's fix it. So the mistake that we need to fix, the big mistake, the big problem here, the underlying root cause of the issue is that you stopped doing sales calls, but you didn't change anything else. So now you're in the sell by chat process that you're trying to create, but you're expecting cold leads to just say yes to like a $2,000 offer from one document and a couple of DMs. So of course your conversions are going to plummet because you didn't fix the root cause of the issue. So if you want to be able to sell coaching packages in the DMs at any price point, you need to make a massive shift in your entire business model on the front end. You need to shift from a sales-focused business model, where the sales call does all the heavy lifting, to a marketing-focused business, where the front end of the business pre-sells all of the prospects before they ever see your offer. If you want your DMs and your offer docs to convert, whether that's directly in the DMs themselves or directly through email, whatever your process there is on the back end, your marketing has to do what your sales calls used to do. This means that your content, your emails, your stories, your lead magnets, your DM conversation, all of these steps here have to shift and have a lot more emphasis and importance put on them in order to pre-sell, build trust, shift beliefs, and pre-handle any objections that you might have been handling before on the sales call itself. And you need to do all of that before the prospect sees your offer. So you have to, in other words, you have to create the buyer before they ever see the pitch. So how do we do that? What does a marketing-focused business actually look like? So let's break this down. So like I said, with a sales-focused business model, you really only need the sales call itself to turn a lead into a client, because on that sales call, you're spending, on average, let's call it 45 minutes, right? You're spending 45 minutes with the prospect, face-to-face or on the phone, and you're able to get the prospect during that time to know you, like you, and trust you. They're spending 30 to 60 minutes directly with you. Now, because that process or that part of the sales process is gone, we need to use your marketing strategy to build that know, like, and trust before the offer. So let's break down each of those pieces there one at a time. So how do we get your prospects to know you? Now, when people hear that, or most coaches think about that, a lot of people will confuse knowing you with trying to be relatable with your content and just kind of oversharing about your personal life to try and get people to know you as a person, right? And well, there is, I would say, some truth to that and some value to that. It's not what I consider know you all about. What I think know you is more about is that you want your prospect to know why they should choose you over the thousands of other options they might have to choose from, right? Whether that's your competition, whether it's other solutions to solve their problems, whatever that might be, there's thousands and thousands of options, or at least hundreds of options that your prospects could potentially choose. You want to show them and make them feel deep down in their logically and emotionally know why they should choose you over all those other options, right? So how do we do that on the front end with our marketing and our content is that we want to share and we want to let our prospects know your values, your beliefs, your personality, your story, and the way that you think. So this is where branding plays such a huge role in your marketing and your content process and on the front end before people see your offer. So when branding is done right, it should position you as a category of one and separate you from all the other options and all the other competition in your niche, right? You want to position yourself as the only option for your ideal clients. So you do that by showcasing and showing how you and your methods and your systems and your strategies are uniquely different from everyone else or all the other options. So a mistake that a lot of coaches make when they're trying to differentiate themselves from the competition is that they try to show that they are better than their competition or they're better than all the other options. But all this does is it puts you in the same category them as the other coaches, as the other options, and it forces your prospects to compare you to all of them, right? It forces you to compete on price, on features, which is going to be a lose-lose situation for everybody, right? You do not want to be comparable or competing against anybody else. You want to position yourself as a category of one. So the best way to position yourself as a unique choice is to share your contrarian values, your contrarian beliefs, the unique systems that you use, the unique strategies that you use to help people get results, and focus on the aspects of those things that are very, very different from how the status quo of things are done in your industry or in your niche. If you can separate yourself from everyone else, from the noise, from the competition, and position yourself as a category of one, people, your prospects, your leads will know that you are the right choice for them. Next up is how do you get your prospects to like you? Again, this aspect of the process here is often mistaken for just oversharing too much personal life stuff, that your entire social media presence just kind of starts to feel like a blog that's all about me. We don't want that, right? Instead, what you want to do, you want to get your prospects to like the idea of working with you. So how do we do that? We do that by crafting a sense of authority for yourself and your brand in your niche. There's three ways to do that, to position yourself as an authority. Number one, shifting beliefs. So I want you to think about what beliefs do your prospects need to stop believing to see you as the obvious choice, and what beliefs do they need to start having or start believing for themselves that position you as the obvious choice for their coach. Part two is pre-handling objections. So since you are no longer doing sales calls, we don't have that face-to-face time to kind of work through objections, how people kind of problem solve their objections live with them, right? If we try to handle objections in the DMs, in most cases, your prospects, your leads, they're just going to ghost you. So what we need to do is pre-handle those objections with our marketing and with our content so that all of their objections are already taken care of before they ever see your offer doc. So that when you're having a conversation with them in the DMs, you send the offer doc, it's literally just a conversation of, yes, this is for me, or no, it's not. It's not a, maybe this is for me, maybe I need to think about it, maybe I need to talk to my spouse, maybe I need to find the funds for this. You need to handle all that stuff on the front end. Part number three of this is sharing social proof. Nothing will position you as an authority as well as sharing tons and tons of social proof. So this can be client results, it can be success stories, transformations, testimonials, case studies, screenshots of client wins, anything and everything that you can share. The more the better. Just put all your social proof out there all the time. Lastly, part number three is how do you get your prospects to trust you before they see your offer? In my opinion, this is by far the most important piece of the puzzle. If your prospects know you and like you, they're still not going to buy from you if they don't trust you. So with a sales-focused business model, the trust is built on the phone call itself, on the Zoom call, on the phone call, when somebody's spending 45 minutes with you, right? And the reason that works so well is because if you spend 45 minutes with someone, you're going to have a good sense of their ethics and you're going to get like a gut feeling of whether or not you can actually trust them. But we've lost that without the sales call, right? So how do we replicate that through our content and through our marketing? Well, Google actually released a study a couple of years back that gives us the answer to this. So what the study found is that before a prospect buys from a person or a brand online without speaking to them, they need, on average, to consume 7 hours of content across 11 touch points in 4 different locations. So how I solve this problem is by creating a content ecosystem and getting my leads to consume as much content as possible, as fast as possible, in as many locations as possible. And ideally, it's going to be long form content like this one right here, this video you're watching right now. Not just a ton of like short form 30-second reels or videos on Instagram, time, that's not going to be enough to build trust, at least not in a short time period, right? If you want somebody to consume 7 hours of content on average, right, and you're only giving them 30-second reels, that's like 6+ months, over a year. I don't know the math on that, but it's a long fucking time before people have consumed enough content to trust you. So we want to try and speed up that process by giving them long form content like this one right here. So, like, for example, if this video ends up being like 10-12 minutes long, that replaces like 20+ reels that they might watch on Instagram. So we can kind of speed run or kind of quickly take a prospect from cold to sold with long form content, especially if they start binge watching a bunch of videos on your podcast, on your YouTube, whatever it might be that you're using for long form content. So that's it. That is the process, that is the system and the strategy that makes the entire Sell by Chat process work. So if you have found that your conversions have tanked, I want you to ask yourself and to kind of analyze your content and your marketing strategy. Are you doing enough of the right things to build that know, like, and trust before your prospects actually see your offers? Are they consuming enough content and spending enough engaged time with you? Are you sharing enough social proof? Are you building a category of one brand? If you can't answer yes to all of those questions, stop worrying about and tweaking your offer itself or trying to find the perfect sentence or the perfect guarantee or some killer promise that you think is going to convert your leads into clients, because it's not going to work, right? Your offer doesn't matter if your prospects are not pre-sold before they see it. So I want you to understand that the hard part of switching from a sales call system to a DM sales process is simply just letting go of the old game and changing the model that you're using on the front end, right? It's realizing that your content actually needs to be persuasive, that your emails need to be sent out daily, that you need some sort of long form content, that your brand needs to stand out in your niche and in your market. So the sales call process used to cover all of that. The sales call used to do all the heavy lifting for you. And now you can't rely on that. So your marketing and your content has to step up. Now, it's not harder, it's just different. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some practice to transition and change all these front-end processes to where you're not relying on that sales call anymore. But once you get this right, it actually becomes significantly easier and certainly much less time consuming. So if you're struggling with your conversions and you're trying to switch to a Sell by Chat process, fix the model. Stop tweaking or wasting time on your offer, trying a million different things with your offer. Build a marketing focused business instead, and I promise your offer will convert. Let your positioning make people choose you, let your content do the selling, and your offer will convert in the DMs. I promise you that. And if you want a deeper dive into all the systems and strategies that I use on the front end that go into this process here, check out this video right here next.